Welcome to another episode of Real Talk of Colorado with your host, YT. Today we're going to be discussing relationships and what it takes to maintain a healthy one. So I have a panel of self-proclaimed experts on relationships. So please welcome to the show my guests, Jonathan and Candace. So before we start today, just give us a little insight, like, where you from, and if you're from Colorado, how long you been here?
I was born and raised in Colorado, so been here my whole life. Went to CU for a little bit. Kanye Wested my way out, didn't like college, and so now I kind of work in finance, but lived here my whole life.
Okay, and you?
I've been here my whole life, born and raised. I have 3 beautiful children that mean the world to me.
You want to say their names?
Bria, Michael, and Andrea.
It's good to give them a shout out. All right, so today's topic is about relationships. So the definition of a relationship is the connection or a bond on an intimate level with 2 people. So kind of tell me what your definition or how you see a relationship.
Well, I think there's so many different kinds of relationships, and they're always so dynamic. In terms of between a male and a female, and if in the definition of, I guess, a girlfriend, boyfriend, or husband, wife, it would be something that's much more intimate, or even there's friendship built into that definition. So I think you can have a lot of different meanings.
Okay, what do you think about it?
I kind of agree with John. There is different views on relationship and how they are taken. You have marriage, you have the boyfriend, girlfriend, you have the friends with benefits. So, whatever works for that person, if that's the relationship that you choose to be in with the person you choose to be with.
Okay, so the quick question right now is, are you in a relationship?
I am. Yep.
Are you in a relationship?
It's complicated.
Oh, wow. Okay, we got to define that here in a second. But how long have you been in a relationship, Jonathan?
I've been with my girlfriend, Amber, for about 1.5 years. So it'll be 2 years, January 2nd. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And since you said it's complicated, can you expound on that, please?
I have a special someone in my life, but we don't have a title.
Oh.
So,
okay, since you said that, so why isn't there a title?
just doesn't need to be one right now.
That's not important?
No.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, guys. So tell me, what do you think is the elements of a healthy relationship? What makes a healthy relationship?
I think first and foremost, communication is absolutely essential. I think relationships where there's no communication about what people are feeling or, what they're thinking, it's just going to make things 10 times harder. It can't be a guessing game. So I guess that would be primary for me.
Okay, what about you, Candace?
I think it should be a 50-50 thing with each other, and you guys should both be on the same page. Communication is a big thing because you can't be on the same page with each other and progress to where you guys need to be. So I would agree and say communication is, and to have somebody's back regardless of what goes on through thick and thin.
So you said that communication. So what else outside of that you need to build a relationship? What are some of the things that you need outside of communication to build a relationship?
Trust is a huge one. Obviously, if you're, constantly suspect of the other person, or, you can't take their word, it's going to be much, much more difficult. I think there's got to be a high level of respect, for the other person. You have to respect their decisions. You have to respect them as a person. And you really have to, be willing to share, their life, their responsibilities, their problems. So, it's a lot.
You have anything to add to that, Candace?
Nope.
No? You agree with what he says?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. So do you guys believe that courting or dating still exists?
Yes. I think it's good to date.
Why?
Because you get to know that person. Even if you're in a relationship and you guys been together for 10 years, it's good to take that time out for each other to date still and have you time and go out and have some fun with your spouse, mate. So I think dating is a big part.
Okay, how you feel about that, Jonathan?
I agree. I think dating, I mean, it's changed. It's always there. It's always a process of getting to know who the other person is and, what they're all about. But maybe just kind of the sequence of events that it happens in has changed. Maybe it's not so much about, well, maybe I'm going to see this person, once a week, or we're going to have, these formal date nights. I think even the process of, moving in together, happens much more quickly just with the way the economy is. So, I mean, even that I think's become a more common component of dating. So I think it's maybe just a little less formal, but it's still there.
Okay, so now while in the courting or dating phase, how long does it take before you actually get into the relationship where you consider yourself being, one or together or whatever the case may be?
1 week. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. Wow. Okay, that's pretty quick.
No, maybe a little longer than that.
I think it just depends on the individuals. Like, I
Okay.
don't think there's any set time. I don't think it should be a month, 6 months, a year. I think it depends on the individuals.
Okay, I guess, so when you say that, I guess depending on how the relationship goes and how things move in the relationship determines on when that actually defines itself as being a relationship, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's good. So let me ask you guys this. How important is sex in the relationship?
Very important.
The answer is definitely quick. So why do you feel it's important?
I just think sex is a big part of your relationship. If that's something both male and female need, and if you don't get that from your spouse, then eventually you might cheat. I just think it's important.
You might cheat.
You might cheat.
Okay. What about you, Jonathan?
Yeah, I definitely think, being compatible in that way is extremely important. I think if you are really into, dressing up as a clown, and, that's just your thing, it might not enter the relationship right away, but if you're in that relationship and you're like, look, this is the way I do things. I got to put on the red nose and a wig, and the other person says, I can't do that. There's just going to be problems. So that compatibility definitely, has to exist.
Okay, so with that being said, should that happen during the dating, courting phase, or should it wait till the relationship actually comes about?
I think it can happen both ways.
Okay. And why do you say that?
Because if you get in a relationship and the sex isn't good, you're in that relationship. What are you going to do if it's bad? So, test the waters.
Okay. Jonathan?
I think inevitably it makes things more complicated. That's just, I think, the nature of the beast. I think it can enter before the relationship stage, but I think it makes the waters a little murkier, and that's, I guess, where that communication component comes in.
Mm-hmm. So from what I'm gathering, if, say, for instance, that situation wasn't the best, you explore, you test the waters, and it wasn't what you expected it to be, is that a deal breaker?
No, I don't think so.
I'm sorry, did the host, somebody said yes? I thought I heard somebody say yes, deal breaker. Okay, well, thanks for that. Appreciate that.
I think when you first go there, it's awkward in any situation, and you can make it better. So I don't necessarily think it's a deal breaker. You can make it better.
Okay, you're willing to work with the person.
Right.
What about you, Jonathan?
Yeah, I think there has to be some malleability there. Like I mentioned, you have to really know, okay, well, what's this other person's limits? How wild are they? I think you always hear it on TV shows, like, wow, that one was just out of this world. And it's just, it's a different kind of person. Everyone's different, so.
Okay. We're going to kind of gloss over that for a little bit and move over to the next. So what part does religion play in that? And an aspect, again, like I said, we're talking about sex. So what part of religion plays into the whole premise of relationship?
I think religion is important because if you have two people that go to church and believe in God and live by God, then your relationship can work and be involved around God. But if you have somebody who goes to church and somebody who doesn't, like, temptation's out there, even in relationships. So I think it's definitely important for two people to be on the same aspect as as religion.
That'd be more ideal, correct?
Right.
Okay, what about you, John?
Yeah, I agree with Candace. I mean, I think it definitely plays a huge part. Really, I think your religious belief, paints your entire worldview. It paints a moral landscape for you. I think being the same really, or having the same views or beliefs, it makes things easier, I think, when it comes to a lot of more complex decisions you have to make, whether it be in a relationship or as a family.
Okay. Good answer, guys. I like that. So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about trust. How important is trust in a relationship? And when is this trust granted? In the beginning, the middle, or when you start the relationship? At what point?
I think trust should be there until that person proves you wrong. So unless you don't have no reason to trust them, you trust them before. But it is a big part. If you don't trust them, then there's no relationship.
I agree. I mean, it should definitely be, it should be right away. And, you almost have to be introspective when you find yourself not trusting somebody and really asking yourself, is this something with me, or is it something where they're actually, giving me reasons not to trust them? Is this my past experience, or are there red flags here?
Okay. So let's talk about infidelity. Have you guys ever experienced infidelity? And if you have, how did that play a part in a relationship? Were you able to get to a point where you trust them again, or was that difficult?
I think it's definitely difficult to trust somebody after you've been through that.
Why?
Because you're always kind of wonder what they're doing. You're always you're just wonder.
Jonathan?
I haven't experienced infidelity. I'm not saying I haven't been cheated on, but I haven't experienced it. If so, I don't know about it.
Yourself,
so.
Right?
Right.
Okay.
So, I haven't had that issue, so, I'd imagine it'd be pretty tough.
Yeah, so from that perspective, would you forgive someone, like, say, that did happen, just for sake, there was no communication and that happened, but you love this person, so would it be easy for you to forgive them in that aspect and give them a second chance and try to look past that and continue on with the relationship, or is that just hey, I can't trust you ever again, so we might as well go our separate ways?
It's kind of interesting. I read an article a while back talking about how America specifically has a higher rate of divorce because of infidelity than other countries. I mean, we view it much more seriously than other cultures do. In a lot of cultures, it's something that, okay, it happens, but it's not a deal breaker. It's not going to tear the family apart. In some cultures, it's expected. If somebody's out traveling or whatever, it's like, you can do it, but as long as I don't know about it. For me, it's not. Especially if you love the person, but obviously it means there's issues that need to be worked on.
Right. Okay. So we touched on communication. You guys were saying that communication is a very key part of a relationship. So have you had any experience of having some communication breakdowns during the relationships that you guys may have had in the past?
Yeah, I think with communication, a lot of actions speak louder than words, but a lot of actions can be misconstrued too. So I think if you communicate about what you think is going on, then you'll figure it out. Communication is the key.
If there's something I've learned about women, which isn't a lot, it's basically that, you hear men are from Mars, women are from Venus, and I'm like, that's not true. As long as I explain it in this way, as long as I use this very clear language, she's going to get what I'm saying. And, what I found is, I think guys they can say something, but if they act differently, if they say, okay, we're just going to be friends, but then they act, as if that person is their girlfriend or whatever, what she hears is the action. Like Candace was saying, she hears, basically we're getting closer, or like we're moving towards that step. I think a guy it's easier to separate actions and language, and women interpret those actions, as the language.
Okay, good. So let's talk about friends and social networking. And with today's age, friends and social networking can cause some serious pains and heartaches in people's relationships. So can you talk to me about, you know, if you have some friends that you may have had that, you know, hindered your relationship with your significant other, and if they have, what did you do about it?
I've never really had it personally, but I do think social network can be a problem in your relationship. But it also comes into trust. Like, you get on the internet, there's guys, there's women, there's girls that get at your man, there's guys that get at your girl, but it's a level of, do you trust that person to let that whoever know?
What about you, Jonathan?
You know, I mean, I haven't experienced it. Obviously, I'm concerned for my future children, just because of,
Right.
you know, just the way the world's changing. But, you know, I mean, I think it definitely makes it much more accessible. You know, I mean, you can find people much more easily. I think it's easier to get in touch and have, you know, private conversations. So, I mean, in that regard, I think, you know, if people are going to cheat, they're going to cheat anyways, you know. I think this makes it maybe a little easier to, or at least expedites the process, I should say.
Okay, well, okay, so you have a friend that's all in your Kool-Aid and all in your relationship and telling you what you should do and what you shouldn't do with your man. I mean, how do you feel about that? Even from a man's perspective, because a man will come and say, man, you shouldn't be with her, or I saw her out at the club, just trying to throw salt in your little relationship. How do you feel about that? Even if you haven't experienced it, you have to have some type of feeling about it, you know?
I mean, I think your friends are your friends, and you value your friends' opinions, and you love your friends regardless what. But at the end of the day, if you are in a relationship with somebody and he holds you down, you hold him down, and he's paying the bills, you're paying the bills, like, your friend can have their opinion, but at the end of the day, it's you two in the end.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's your life, it's your choice, and, you know, I think the best kind of friend to have is one that's willing to offer their opinion and then support you, you know, regardless of what you decide.
Okay, I agree with that. So let me ask you guys this: do you think chivalry is dead?
Maybe in a conventional sense, you know. I mean, I think standards have changed. You know, maybe chivalry in the past has been, you know, holding a door open or, you know, buckling, you know, a seat belt, and, you know, I think some of those things are forgotten. But you know, I think it's just more. It changes, it evolves. It's maybe just the little things throughout the day.
I don't really have a comment.
You don't have a comment. So do you? I mean, when I say that, do you think that there's still guys out there who believe in chivalry and courting?
I do think so.
Opening the door and.
I do think so. But so, it's hard to find.
Oh, it's hard to find now. Mm-hmm. You don't see it as much now as you know,
no,
I guess
not
back
at
in
all.
the day or something like that. Huh?
No, you don't see it too often.
Oh, okay. So with that being said, you know, with that Facebook and Twitter thing, people express, you know, their feelings and what's going on in relationships on Facebook and Twitter. What do you guys feel about that, and have you done that in your past?
I personally have not, just because, you know, I don't want to air my dirty laundry to everybody. But, you know, I've seen people that have, and you know, I mean, I just don't get it. I don't know how they operate, but you know, it's like the, you know, fight, break up, and then kiss, make up type relationship. Like, you know, I've never been through it. I don't know how it works for some people, but, you know, if it does, more power to them. So.
Yeah, I don't do it, but I see people that do it all the time, and it irritates me. Like, I don't need to know your business.
Right.
And I don't want nobody else to know mine. If you're important in my life and I tell you, that's a different story, but the whole world doesn't need to know.
So, I mean, from your perspective, since you are my panel of self-proclaimed experts, what would you like to tell any young people out there that are about to venture in relationship? What kind of advice would you guys give them?
To take it one day at a time.
One day at a time?
Mm-hmm.
Don't air your dirty laundry on Facebook. I mean, you know, a relationship, it's a personal thing, you know. It's again, talking about that trust, you know. I mean, if you have something that you want to communicate to your partner, you know, you go directly to them. There's no reason, you know, to bring anybody else into it.
Sure. Because one day you're fighting and the next day you're in love again. So what's the point of take it one day at a time.
And I mean, since we say that, do you feel the same thing as it relates to a parent, mother and father, that's all in your relationship and, you know, saying this person isn't a good person for you? What do you guys have to say about that?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it depends on that relationship, but, you know, I think you have to view it as, well, obviously they're looking out for my best interest. You know, I think you have to take it with a grain of salt. I mean, you know, it's good to consider what they have to say. But as Candace was saying, I mean, in the end, it's your decision, it's your life, and after you take that into consideration, you know, you just have to, you know, level with your parent and say, look, you know, hopefully you believe you raised me right, and, you know, I'm going to make a decision that's going to make me happy, and, you know, that's the most important thing.
Okay, well, good. So let me ask this final question. So, Jonathan, you said how long you been in a relationship?
About 1.5 years.
1.5, and it's going good?
Yeah.
So there's no problems. No relationship is perfect. And that's the thing about relationships. Yeah, no one has a relationship that is perfect, but are you doing the things to maintain the relationship, keeping open communications, trusting, and things of that nature to make sure that it's a healthy relationship?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think I get why people say it's work, but, you know, I also get why they say if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, you know. I think tests are good for relationships because you know if it's real or not, you know, through those hard times. And so, yeah, I think just maintaining communication and trust is definitely, you know, if we've had hard times, that's what's pulled us through it.
What about your relationship, Candace?
I'm taking it one day at a time. I'm not going to say we'll be together or we won't, but for right now, we're doing good. So I just take it one day at a time.
Okay.
I can't predict the future, and I'm not going to focus on the past.
All right. And never hold any grudges or judge,
Right.
correct? Yeah, okay, that's good too as well. Well, I thank you guys for coming on the show today. It's definitely been a pleasure to meet you guys.
Thank you.
I think you guys have your heads on right, that you know what you want, and you know how to have a healthy relationship with someone. So I'm gonna take some of your advice because, you know, each one teach one. We can always learn from each other, you know. So I thank you for coming on again.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I'm your host, YT. You've been listening to my panel of self-proclaimed experts on relationships and how to have a healthy relationship. So hope you take some of the stuff they said to heed, and you have a healthy relationship as well. So thank you for tuning in today. Real Talk of Colorado, and we'll catch you on the next show. Take care now.